Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I am on my last coffee pod. This is the last cup of coffee that I have, but it's just enough for me to get the message out on all of this silly crypto ratings stuff from yesterday. I got busy and didn't get a chance to go over it yesterday, but I'm going to drop what I think is a bomb on some of you as far as how bad the conflict of interests are here, which is what the real problem is. The first thing, this is what came out yesterday. This is a Coinbase-led group, which right out of the gate, I'm uncomfortable with that. Coinbase-led group aims to help crypto firms avoid securities violations. It says crypto industry leaders are taking the initiative to help firms in the space avoid running afoul of securities rules. In a company blog post, Coinbase announced that it's co-founded the Crypto Rating Council, a member organization proposed with assisting cryptocurrency companies determine if they comply with current U.S. federal securities law. Okay, so let's go through this. This was a Wall Street Journal article where they covered it. Cryptocurrency exchanges will score which asset can be traded without ire of regulators. So this is the website right here. Introducing the Crypto Rating Council. Now, what's important to me is that you see who's a part of it, and I'll explain why in a minute. Coinbase is proud to join the leading crypto businesses in announcing the creation of the Crypto Rating Council, a member-operated organization formed to assist market participants that trade or support crypto assets to comply with U.S. federal securities laws. Then down here, it gives a list of the companies that are involved. And I'll go over, I looked at this list, and I want to give you my thoughts. First, I've heard Anchorage, but I don't know that well. I'm going to look into that one. Bittrex, my understanding is that Bittrex is an XRP partner with Ripple, which kind of makes this confusing. Then you've got Circle. Well, we know that Circle is owned partially by Goldman Sachs, and Circle also owns Poloniex. Poloniex does have XRP listed, but Circle has never touched XRP, is my understanding, and never spoken the words Ripple, XRP. I've seen many interviews with their CEO, who's Jeremy Allaire, I believe. Coinbase, we know the history of Coinbase. They listed all sorts of ridiculous assets before they did XRP. They eventually added XRP on Coinbase and Coinbase Pro. I did not recognize the name of this company. Genesis, just for your information, Genesis is an over-the-counter trading firm. Genesis is owned by the Digital Currency Group, which is run by Barry Silbert, who is also an investor in Ripple, and will also not say the words Ripple or XRP unless specifically asked. Grayscale Investments is also owned by the Digital Currency Group, which is run by Barry Silbert, who won't say the word Ripple or XRP unless specifically asked. Kraken has XRP listed, but in the past, the Jesse Powell, I believe, is the guy that runs Kraken. In the past, he has said many things that let you know that he does not like XRP or doesn't like Ripple and what it represents. Okay, but this is the one that I want to go back to. I just want you to remember DRW Cumberland, because I didn't recognize that. And when I don't recognize something and it comes out of nowhere, red flags go up for the digital asset investor. And so I did a Google search on DRW Cumberland, and what just happened to pop up will blow your mind. And I'm going to get to that in a second. But first, I wanted to show you this is their website, the Crypto Rating Council, leading crypto financial services firms committed to practical compliance with U.S. securities laws. I just wanted to show you 2 of their ratings and how stupid that it sounds. Bitcoin gets a 1, which means it's the least likely of being a security. And these are their core 3 reasons. Absence of a marketed token sale and corresponding marketing efforts. Decentralized development and usage. And this is my favorite. Anonymity of the project team. In other words, the project team, the people who created Bitcoin and control Bitcoin, which China controls the mining, but let's say China could effectively be Satoshi Nakamoto. These people don't even know. and they're sitting here trying to put some kind of a rating as to whether it's a security. I mean, it's really almost like a dark comedy here. It's so silly. But I actually asked them on Twitter, I said, well, so what if you find out that China is Satoshi Nakamoto? Does that change your rating at all? It's like ridiculous. Now, if you go down to XRP, they rated a 4, which is towards the security token scale. Okay. But, and keep in mind, the people that are doing this, the companies that are putting together doing it, none of them are telling you what their holdings are. So there's a huge conflict of interest going on here as you read all this. XRP, usage of securities-like language, whatever that means. Sale of tokens or token interest prior to the existence of token utility, which this token had utility from the very get-go. Marketing of the token suggesting an opportunity to earn profits. Decentralized development and usage. Okay. Now, let's move along. I'm going to get to the interesting part in a minute, but this is from Panda Ripple XRP. I want to show you how everybody weighed in here. Just today, their article surfaced concluded that XRP has several characteristics which deem as a security. This so-called crypto rating council are formed by various cryptocurrency-related companies, which doesn't represent the SEC. It is clearly stated in their frequently asked questions that the SEC, CFTC, or any other regulatory regulator have endorsed the council's methodology or ratings. I almost can't roll my eyes back after reading this nonsense. They seriously don't know anything about XRP and need to revamp their framework. This is what I just read to you there. Their framework, including the factors considering the weighting of those factors, has not been endorsed by the SEC or any governmental agency. Okay, now, this is just an interesting thread, but now I'm going to take you down the road and show you a few interesting things. First, this is Bill Shahara, founder and CEO of Bittrex, who is an XRapid partner. Here's a video from XRP Cult 589 you can go and watch. And this guy is basically, he's not calling XRP a security token as well, and he's acknowledging that they have it on their platform. So this is there are so many weird aspects to this, and one of them is that this guy would take part in this when he's an XRapid partner. This is part of the strange thing about this. And then moving along, this is what I did a couple of tweets yesterday because this thing was like one of those in-your-face, ridiculous, doesn't make any sense moments. Many of these companies, this is me writing this, many of these companies have been selling XRP, which they now publicly say they believe is most likely a security. What company would take on that kind of a liability? They would not. Makes me wonder if SEC no action letters are inbound for some of these assets. I'll take that thought pattern a step further. Imagine that you're Coinbase and you've put your name on a report that says you believe that XRP is way to the close end of being a security, and you've been selling this. Let's say that you've got a trader on your website who has bought $100,000 worth of XRP, and he ended up buying at the wrong time, lost $80,000 and sold it, and now he's taken an $80,000 loss. And now you, Coinbase, are putting out a report that says, well, yeah, you bought this on our site, but we think it's a security. So now I don't know about Coinbase's, I don't know in their case, but I know in most of these companies' cases, they are not licensed to sell securities. So if they're selling these on their platform, and this guy gets burned to the tune of $80,000, what can he now do? He can turn around and sue your butt off. So that is the first part of this that makes absolutely no sense. It's crazy what these people do. It doesn't make any sense. And I grew up as a whole home builder's son. Dealing with liability is all we dealt with every day. And so when I saw this yesterday, I was blown away by it. Okay, now let's go to this. This is the other point that I made yesterday on Twitter. I'm drinking some more of my last drips of coffee here because it is like I'm about to have to go to the grocery store after I do this video. Okay, this is the other point I wanted to make. Digital asset investor to be taken serious, the members and their owners, executives are going to need to disclose their digital asset holdings. Now think about this for a minute. You've got 5 or 6 or 7 companies there who all hold digital assets. And then they're putting out ratings that will help some digital assets in the investing world and hurt others. But they're not telling you what they own. And many of these companies are very large owners of Bitcoin, very large. And they gave Bitcoin a favorable rating. I want you to think about the conflict of interest there. And now I want to take you back to Cumberland. Cumberland, a DRW company. I had not heard of Cumberland before I started this video. I literally went to Google, searched Cumberland DRW company, and when I did that, the article that came out, jumped out at me, jumped off the page. And that is this article. It's a Medium article from May 22nd of 2018. Has DRW's Cumberland cornered the Bitcoin market? And so they talk about what it means to corner a market and da-da-da-da-da. And then I started scrolling down through here. And it says, who is DRW? Donald R. Wilson's firm is one of Chicago's largest high-frequency traders with over 800 employees. DRW does not run other people's money or report financial results. Not all of their business occurs within a split second. They execute longer-term trades as well. They're a bigger player in derivatives markets, particularly futures. In order to better understand DRW's role in crypto assets, it's important to first mention their legal battles surrounding certain trading approaches they've taken in the past. This is the United States Commodities Futures Trading Commission as the plaintiff versus Donald R. Wilson and DRW Investments, LLC. And here's an article about this apparent lawsuit. In summary, the commission asserts that DRW found a perceived flaw in a futures contract and exploited it. Trader described companies that took the opposite side of their bet as suckers. Bet was not as profitable as initially expected, placed thousands of bids to move settlement prices in their favor, aka banging the close. Described the contract as the ultimate of illiquid products. No one else around. Regularly pulled bids after 15 minutes settlement period, aka spoofing, which reminds me of some of these JP Morgan things. Never got their bids hit. Unlike most firms sued by CFTC, DRW refused to settle, and it goes on in here. Then you keep going down this, you can't make this stuff up, folks. Keep going down the article, and what comes up is I just passed it. So what does any of this have to do with Bitcoin? In 2014, DRW set up a subsidiary named Cumberland Mining as a digital currency unit. Not much was known about them until a few Redditors and a blockchain analyst identified Cumberland as the winner of an auction worth 27,000 Bitcoins, seized by authorities from Silk Road. They ended up buying a total of about 70,000 Bitcoins in these auctions. They were very early adopters, and they've got a massive lead over everyone else. That's Brian Kelly, founder of BKCM Digital Asset Fund via Wall Street Journal, and Brian Kelly is the guy you see on CNBC all the time. Cumberland describes itself as one of the largest OTC liquidity providers in the cryptocurrency space. Unlike their competitor Genesis Trading, Cumberland is not a registered broker-dealer with the SEC and FINRA. Cumberland claims to have done over $20 billion in volume in 2017 alone. According to a recent Bloomberg report, they offer over 30 cryptocurrencies and nearly 500 pairs for trading. They're also selectively involved in ICOs. Ergo, companies can privately exchange the Ethereum they raised for cash with Cumberland. And as you go along here, now look at this part. It says, according to Bobby Cho, head of Cumberland, we also manage an inventory of different cryptocurrencies for our own account in order to run our trading business and manage risk appropriately. We connect any exchange that has meaningful volume. How about that volume leader? You can trade with Cumberland Mining on Bitfinex. This is on Reddit, on Bitfinex, and pay a Bitfinex a fee, or you can contact us directly. And as you go along here, look at this. At least 2 Bitcoin notables among those following the Cumberland Mining Twitter account are Fred Erstrom, a Coinbase founder, and Phil G. Potter, a manager of Bitfinex Exchange. How about market making? Ari Paul of Block Tower Capital spoke to Bloomberg last year referencing the Bitcoin derivatives exchange LedgerX. DRW is a market maker there. There's plenty of low volume, $1 million a day. I do expect them to have a lot of volume very soon. They're intelligently ramping up. So, but as you go along through here, the thing that just is a blinking sign is, do these guys have an obvious conflict of interest? Here they are, a part of a group that is rating the XRPs, and they're also rating the Bitcoins. And this is an article literally that is laying out the case for the fact that these guys have potentially cornered the Bitcoin market. Okay, they're that large of holders in Bitcoin. Is this not a massive problem? Is this not a problem to the SEC, for instance? This needs to be looked at, and not just this company, but every company line by line that's a part of that group needs to be looked at. This is not right. And who knows what is going on behind the scenes with this. These guys need to be looked at very, very closely, in my opinion. I wanted to give a shout out to Brad Combs, who gave me a shout out in his video yesterday for some of my tweets regarding this. This guy's on fire right now. He's doing live streams every morning and every evening. You need to go watch them. He's a very smart guy. I've gotten to know him. And like I've said before, more importantly to me than the fact that he's a smart guy is that he's a good guy. And that should be more important to you too, because that means he's a guy that's worthy of listening to and is a straightforward talker. And those are the kind of people I like. Okay, I'm going to go through a little bit more of this, but I'm going to try to drop this off after a couple more of these things. David Schwartz weighed in on this too. Now, remember, the people at Ripple, they have to be a little more diplomatic than the rest of us. But David Schwartz, this is how he reacted to this yesterday. Good to see this initiative. He's talking about the rating council. While I don't agree with everything, for example, XRP had utility from day one, I do look forward to working with the XRP community to help further inform the council's analysis. And then he's retweeting Stuart Alderati, who is Ripple's counsel, his tweet. The newly formed Crypto Ratings Council agrees that these 20 assets, including XRP, are not securities. While it is good that the private market is taking the initiative, regulatory clarity like we've seen from the FCA is what's needed. And so, I think he's being, like I said, diplomatic here, but that is not what this council said. They're not including XRP as a non-security. They're trying to infer that it is one from the way I read it and everybody else. But this is the one you need to see. This was a reply that David Schwartz did in this thread. The SEC isn't going to be able to figure this out on their own in a vacuum. They will need help to show them where the innovation is so that they don't crush it. That's been happening in secret without public scrutiny. This is, in my opinion, a step in the right direction. I read this to mean that behind the scenes, the SEC has been working with Ripple, which is what I've thought all along, what we've talked about. Okay, looks like, now this is interesting because remember, Binance was not included in this council. And this guy, who is a Bitcoin guy, I think, was doing this thread here about it and talking about how stupid he thought all this was. He says, anyway, I would like to congratulate Bitstamp and Gemini for not being a part of this nonsense council. CZ Binance comes in and says, let me guess, Ripple isn't in this council either. In other words, how could you possibly put something like this together and keep Ripple out and this be in any way something to be taken serious? And then he says the guys who score above a 2 should form their own council and re-rate everything again. That's funny. Okay, I'm going to end right here. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe and hit the like button and tell your friends and family. Take that DRW article and spread that around like wildfire, because that is the inherent conflict of interest that needs to be discussed about all of this. You cannot put out ratings as a group like this when you're not telling everyone what you own. They must be transparent and let everybody know what they own for this to in any way be taken serious. Thank you for listening.